de pie. Esa chica va para adelante, la candela hasta que ya arde. El cachín le muerde los pies, la culebra cambia de pie. Esa chica va para adelante, la candela hasta que ya arde. El cachín le muerde los pies, la culebra cambia de pie. We are so honored to be here after this Sunday speech. This next song is dedicated to all women. Vengo del mundo donde no mueren las ideas. Vengo de lejos donde no existe mala pena. Vengo de lejos donde se encienden las fronteras. Sigo creyendo que la sangre nos libera. Todo el mundo está aquí abajo y somos todos los que estamos. No existe tiempo para el miedo. Y aquí yo estoy. Y somos parte de esta historia. Parece un frente de una tumba. Allá mi tierra nos unimos hoy. Luchamos hoy, vivimos hoy. ¡Ella! Vengo del mundo donde no mueren las ideas. Vengo de lejos donde no existen malas penas. Vengo de lejos donde se encienden las fronteras. Sigo creyendo que la sangre nos libera. ¡Así! Everybody's bleeding for no reason, corazón. Show me your pain, I might feel the same. Bleeding for no reason, corazón. We are the same. Vamos a acabar bailando, vamos a seguir luchando, vamos a seguir amando, mujer, vamos a seguir soñando. Vamos a acabar bailando, vamos a seguir luchando, vamos a seguir amando, mujer, vamos a seguir soñando. Seguir soñando. seguir soñando, vamos a acabar bailando, vamos a seguir luchando, vamos a seguir amando, mujer, vamos a seguir soñando. Break. I'm gonna work.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, 1, 2. Can I get a media mic check? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, is it good? Hear me? Anybody? No media for you guys? Oh, come on. It's got to sound better than that. Hold on, they're fixing it. That's why we do this.
Two more? I feel it burn! Next show is Saturday at the Congressional at 6 p.m. So come on out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zyra Livier.
Hi everyone. Hi! My name is Zyra Livier. Thank you for the prompt introduction. Can you guys hear me now? My name is Zyra Livier. I am a U of A student here. I am a senior, very close to graduating. Finally. I am a neuroscience major with my emphasis on philosophy of mind. Yes. Nerds, yay! I am also a Mexican immigrant. I crossed the border illegally with my family when I was about 8 years old. We eventually did get our papers. We are documented. But we settled in South Tucson. And being a young child who doesn't speak any English, doesn't know any of the culture, you don't have many friends. I didn't have TV, I didn't have a lot of toys, I didn't have much to do. So what I did do is I asked for extra homework. I hung out with all of my teachers. I became what you would call a teacher's pet. And that's how I grew up. I grew up with my teachers, asking for extra homework, learning as much as I possibly could, because I was an outsider most of my life. Can you hear me now? All right. So, where was I? Teachers were my friends. This is making my nervousness go away, so this is great. Once I got to high school, I started getting really serious about going to college. No one in my entire family had ever gone to college, not to community college, and most definitely not to a university. Okay. How's that? Is that good? Okay, perfect. All right. So high school, my teacher, Mrs. White, sat me down and helped me fill out my FAFSA. She helped me get enrolled into Pima Community College. By the time I graduated high school, I was already working a full-time job. It took many jobs to get me through my Pima years, eventually to the U of A, and I have to tell you that driving by the U of A every day was such a dream. I never thought I would walk these halls. It is an incredible dream, and it is an incredible privilege to be here. And as I mentioned, as a child, I watched my mother clean houses. She waited tables. She watched children. She had 3 to 4 jobs sometimes. My father worked in a factory. He delivered pizzas on the weekends to make ends meet. So I knew I didn't want to do that, right? Cleaning sucks. Watching kids sucks. I want an education. So I went for it, and I worked really hard. I've been working many different jobs to get myself through this process, but I found myself in a situation where I could not afford to live and to be a student. Like many of us, I had to take out student loans, at least $12,000 a year. That's what my tuition is, just tuition alone, no books, no driving, no lodging. That is just it. With zero help from family because they could not afford it, I went into debt. And halfway through my years here, I thought, is it really worth it? Do I need to take out another $12,000 loan this year? Is my dream of being an educated Latina woman really worth it? And I came to that conclusion, yes. So I will graduate having been the very first person in my entire family to graduate. Thank you. But I will also be the very first person in my family to be in debt, over $80,000 in debt when I leave here, without interest. So what we see is the American dream that tells you if you work really hard, if you do extra, everything will be okay. I found myself in a situation where that wasn't the case. I had friends that were graduating with a master's degrees, driving cabs on the weekends to make ends meet so that they can pay their student loans. They're in debt. They can't afford to buy cars. They can definitely not afford to save for a rainy day. They're living at home. This is why Bernie's message was so important to many of us millennials. Myself included. Sorry. So as millennials, we need some help, right? We need to be able to graduate and find good jobs, and we need to be able to save money for a rainy day. We need to be able to get health insurance. We need to graduate and find the jobs that were promised to us. They said, you go to school, you will be fine. And we're finding that this is slipping away from us. This is why I stand here today with Bernie Sanders, and I urge you to vote on November 8th or prior to for Secretary Hillary Clinton. She heard what we had to say, and she didn't just hear us, she listened. Secretary Clinton plans to enact tuition-free public universities for in-state students. Tuition-free for families making under $125,000 a year. And another, what's very important to people of color like myself, tuition-free community colleges. Plain and simple. She will also have a $25 billion fund that will support institutions, historically black institutions, and also Hispanic institutions. And for those of us who missed out and we went to college a little too soon and had to get student debt, we will be able to refinance our loans. We will have protection when we fall behind and we can't afford to pay. And we will have protection against predatory loans and predatory institutions as well that promise us a degree that's kind of useless. So again, please join me and my absolute hero, Bernie Sanders, in supporting Hillary Clinton, the ally and the president that we absolutely need in office. Please get involved and do your part this November 8th. Show up and vote. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kathy Ortega.
Are you ready? Hi, my name is Kathy Ortega, and I am a worker here in Tucson, Arizona, where I've lived my whole life. I wanted to say that, in a sense, I am a single parent right now. My husband is disabled, and I take care of 7 other people in my family. Not only to feed them, to clothe them, to put shoes on them, but to put rent, to pay for rent, to pay for gas and light. If we don't vote on Proposition 206 to raise minimum wage, minimum wage, let's go. I won't be able to afford anything. I won't be able to afford a home. As it is, I barely rent. I don't have a car. I use the bus just like everybody else. My youngest daughter now is going to be a senior in high school right now. She wants to go on to college. Right now, I don't see any way feasible for me financially to send her. And she will be the only one in our family to go to college. And I think that she needs that. She needs me to fight for her to go to school. She needs to go to school to get a better job. She doesn't need to be working on living wage like I do and like a lot of us single parents who have children at home that can't afford to take care of them. We need to vote on 206, yes, for the living wage to raise. It will not only help me, it will help everybody. It'll help everybody in our community to raise. I am in South Tucson right now, which is, as we say, is the lowest part of town. We need to bring that up. So most of us all live there. All of us Latinas live there. And we're trying to make it work. But the hard part is, living wage is killing us. Minimum wage is killing us. We have no living wage. We need to move it up. With that, I can at least provide for my children, provide for my grandchildren. I can at least have a home, a roof over their heads. If I can't do that, I don't want to be homeless, and I sure in heck don't want them to be living in a car, like a lot of families do. So we need to back Miss Hillary Clinton. We need to make a change. We need a big change. We need for our living wage to be risen, and we need paid sick days. For those parents who need to stay home and take care of that sick child or the child that's in the hospital. Who's going to take care of them? It has to be us. The children will not let us be anybody else. And this, I put my vote towards Hillary Clinton and vote yes on 206. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carolyn Campbell.
Hello. Hi, everybody. And welcome back to Tucson, Bernie Sanders. Woo! Way on. My name's Carolyn Campbell. I am an environmentalist. I work for the environment. I live the environment. I breathe the environment like everybody here. So this country needs a president that will protect our environment. And I want to thank Senator Bernie Sanders for bringing issues of climate change and natural resource protection to the forefront of the presidential campaigning and debates. Thank you, Senator Sanders. And all of our country's environmental protections that Americans depend on are now under attack. Our water, our air, our public lands, sacred places for our native peoples and our native species. The Congress is determined to use whatever means they have to weaken the environmental laws and put our health and the health of our planet at risk. We need a White House that will say no to this. We need to keep our Grand Canyon grand. Right on. We need to keep our public lands public. The Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, these are bedrock laws that American citizens fully support, all being weakened under the guise of a business-friendly and national security. We have to block these attacks. We need a president that will appoint quality cabinet members and people to head our environmental agencies. We need a president that will insist on science-based management of our natural resources. We need a president that will say yes to protecting our waters from toxic chemicals and pollutants for our children, our grandchildren, and all living beings. And we know there's a presidential candidate that will not do that if he gets elected. Boo! We need a president that will get us away from fossil fuels towards safe, sustainable energy sources throughout our nation and the rest of the world. Climate change is real and it is here. So I'm proud to be here with Senator Bernie Sanders, who has been our champion in dealing with climate change and protecting our environment. No, Bernie. Thank you, Bernie. And I've been involved in a few of these elections, and we have heard before the stakes have never been higher. But everybody here knows right now the stakes have never, ever been higher. I support Hillary Clinton because she can move us forward on a sustainable and healthy environment to be the president that we need. We don't need climate change deniers. We don't need anti-environment and anti-science bullies like Donald Trump. Boo! So let's get out to vote, Arizona, and let's be the next state that votes to help put Secretary Hillary Clinton in the White House. Thank you very much.
Just wanna look at you, and I know it's
United States Congressman Raul Grijalva.
And before we once again welcome Senator Bernie Sanders to our community. I am very proud of supporting Bernie Sanders for president. And, you know, this collective campaign that Bernie's has established for all of us very important political principles that are going to continue and continue. This campaign was about economic justice and fairness. It was about social justice and fairness. It was about environmental justice and fairness. And this agenda for the future, I think Bernie provided to all Americans a roadmap. And Bernie traveled this roadmap, and many of you traveled it with him. And that roadmap from those primaries are clearly stated in the Democratic Party platform. Bernie has said that elections are about issues. And they're not about personalities, they're about issues. And he responded to those issues with policy. So as we compare issues, my friends, there's only one legitimate, rational, and capable choice in this election, and that's Hillary Clinton. Rejecting Trump as misogynistic, racist, anti-fact, phobic, pathological, that's obvious. We all know that. Choosing Hillary and other Democrats that are committed to bringing Arizona, this state of ours, and our nation in line with what the real needs of the American people are, what their real wishes are, and what we have to do in this election, that is a necessity. So let me just introduce my friend. The path to political redemption, to bringing truth to power, to making elections about ideas, about popular support. This whole redemptive movement in American politics owes much to the man I'm about to introduce, my friend, a crusader for all of us, a senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. And let me thank the people of Arizona for sending Raul Grijalva to the United States Congress. You are looking at one of the very most progressive members of Congress, the co-chair of the Progressive Caucus, a leader on every issue of importance to working families in this country. Raul, thank you so much. Now, Raul made an important point that I want to reiterate, and that is as a result of our campaign, and I want to thank many of you for the support that you gave me during the primary process. What we accomplished is the writing of the most progressive party platform in the history of the United States of America. That is what you accomplished, what 13 million voters all over this country accomplished, what Raul Grijalva accomplished. So I thank you for that. As Raul indicated, politics is not about personality. This campaign is not about Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. It is about you and the American middle class. And to all of those folks out there, and Arizona is a battleground state, and you can make the difference in terms of who the next president of the United States will be. For all of those people who are in doubt or think that Trump should be the next president, those people happen not to be here tonight, but they are elsewhere. What I ask of you is take a hard look at the issues. Number one, in the United States of America, we cannot elect a man to be president who objectifies women, who brags about assaulting women. We cannot elect a candidate to be president who refers to our Mexican brothers and sisters as rapists and criminals. We cannot elect a man to be president who helped lead the birther movement, a racist effort to delegitimize the first African American president in our history. In fact, I dare say that there has not been in the modern history of America, or maybe the entire history of our country, a person less qualified from a character point of view or a policy point of view than Donald Trump to become president. So, 2 points that I want to make tonight. Number one, on November 8th, our job is to defeat Trump and elect Hillary Clinton as our next president. Number two, what I want all of you to know, and the media doesn't talk about it, a lot of politicians don't talk about it. Election day is obviously important, but politics and struggle and the fight for justice is not just about Election day. We've got to get to work the day after Election day. Now, in my view, the most important crisis facing our country is the drift toward oligarchy in America, a nation in which a handful of billionaires control not only our economy, but our political life. And in honor of those brave men and women from Arizona, from Vermont, who put their lives on the line to defend American democracy, we are here to tell Mr. Trump and the Koch brothers and all of the rest, we are a democracy, not an oligarchy. And one of the first things that we have got to do to stop the trend toward oligarchy, to reinvigorate American democracy, is to overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. By a 5-4 vote, the Supreme Court said that billionaires have the right to buy elections. I disagree. What Hillary Clinton has said, and I just spoke to her a couple of weeks ago, and she told me to tell you this, that within the first 100 days of her administration, she would bring forth a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. And further, she has made it clear that no nominee of hers to the Supreme Court will get that nomination unless he or she is clear that they will vote to overturn Citizens United. I want this country to have a vigorous and vibrant democracy. I want, and many of you who are interested in politics, interested in public policy, to give thought to running for office, from school board to president. But when you run in defense of working families and the poor and the middle class, I do not want to have billionaires buying elections against you. Not only do we need to overturn Citizens United, we need to end this outrageous level of voter suppression, which Republican governors are doing all over this country. It is hard to believe that in the year 2016, after the very difficult path our country has traveled, that you have governors today who are making it harder for poor people, people of color, young people, old people to participate in the political process. And what I say to those cowardly governors, if you don't have the guts to defend your ideas in a free and fair elections, get out of politics. So on this issue, where the overwhelming majority of the American people, whether you're conservative or you are progressive, almost everybody understands that we cannot have a vibrant democracy with billionaires buying elections. On that issue, the distinction between Secretary Clinton and Donald Trump is crystal clear. She wants to overturn Citizens United. He will sustain Citizens United. But the issue facing this country is not just creating a vibrant democracy. The issue facing this country is creating an economy that works for working families and the middle class, and not just the wealthiest people in this country. And on that issue, anyone who examines Trump's position with Secretary Clinton's position will see crystal clear that Secretary Clinton's views are 1,000 times better than Mr. Trump's. We live in a nation today with a grotesque level of income and wealth inequality. It is worse than almost any other major country on earth. It is worse today than any time since 1928. In America today, the top 1/10 of 1% now owns as much wealth as the bottom 90% of our people. For the last 40 years, we have seen a middle class in decline. Today, we have 43 million people living in poverty, but over the last 16 years, we have seen a 10-fold increase in the number of billionaires in this country. So what we are seeing is the very, very rich getting much richer, middle class shrinking, too many people living in poverty. What we have got to do, and what Secretary Clinton understands, is we have got to create an economy that works for you and the middle class, not just wealthy campaign contributors. Now, as Congressman Grijalva mentioned, I've been running all over this country for the last year and a half talking about a tax system which is absolutely rigged in favor of the wealthy. And yet, on one day, a few weeks ago, Donald Trump did more to make my point about how corrupt our tax system is than I've done in a year and a half. So I thank you, Donald Trump, for that. And here is how crazy, how corrupt, how unfair our tax system is. Donald Trump gets before the American people and he says, I am a multi-billionaire. I have mansions all over the world. I got my own big jet. I live in the lap of luxury, and yet I, a multi-billionaire, do not have to pay 1 nickel in federal income tax. And Trump and his other billionaire friends don't have to pay taxes because they know the middle class and the working class of this country are paying taxes. So I say to Mr. Trump, we've got some very bad news for you. Not only are you going to lose the election on November 8th, but you and your billionaire friends and large multinational corporations are going to start paying their fair share of taxes. And when we talk about the economy, we have to understand that many of our Republican friends suffer from a very serious illness. It is called amnesia. They forget things. And what they forget is where this country was 8 years ago today. See, they like to blame Obama. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's raining, it's snowing. It must be President Obama's fault. But what they forget is that when George W. Bush left office, after 8 years of trickle-down economics, we were losing 800,000 jobs a month. 800,000 jobs a month, unheard of since the Great Depression of the 1930s. We were running up the largest deficit in the history of our country, $1.4 trillion. And by the way, just in passing, we should mention that the world's financial system was on the verge of collapse. That is what 8 years of trickle-down economics under Bush did. We are not going back to trickle-down economics. Now, the fact is, and any objective observer would acknowledge this, is that we are much better off economically today than we were 8 years ago. But what we also have got to acknowledge and be honest about it, and some Democrats aren't, but we have got to be honest that today we still have major economic problems that we have got to address. In America today, we have millions of working people working at wages that are just too damn low. You can do the arithmetic as well as I can and figure out that if somebody is making the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, that person cannot make it economically. Not at $7.25, not at $9, not at $10 an hour. What Secretary Clinton knows, what you know, and what I know, and what Donald Trump does not know, is that we have got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. In my view, that minimum wage should be $15 an hour. And that is what the Democratic platform calls for. But it is not just raising the minimum wage so that anybody in America who works 40 hours a week is not living in poverty. We have got to do more than that. We have got to end the disgrace of women in America making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. Hillary Clinton understands, you understand, I understand that in the year 2016, the time is long overdue for pay equity for women workers. Today, the United States, shamefully, stands as one of the very few countries in the world that does not guarantee paid family and medical leave. And what that means is that in Arizona and in Vermont today, a low-income or working-class woman is giving birth to a beautiful baby. But that woman will not be able to stay home and get to know and love her baby for the time that she should have to do that. She will be forced to go back to work in 1 week or 2 weeks because her family lacks the funds to take care of that baby. That is not a family value. That is the opposite of a family value. We need to guarantee 3 months paid family and medical leave for every worker in America. Hillary Clinton understands that while unemployment now is much lower than it was 8 years ago, it is not low enough, and we need to create millions of good-paying jobs. She understands that we should be hiring teachers, not firing teachers. She understands that in a dysfunctional child care system, pre-K system, where working parents are finding it almost impossible to find decent quality, affordable child care, we need universal child care, and we need hundreds of thousands of workers who are going to take care of the littlest Americans. And Hillary Clinton understands that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, which is what we are today, our infrastructure, roads, bridges, water systems, wastewater plants, airports, levees, and dams, our infrastructure should not be crumbling. That we need to rebuild that infrastructure, and when we do that, we create millions of good-paying jobs. Hillary Clinton understands that in the United States of America, if we are going to be competitive in a global economy, we need the best educated workforce in the world. The truth is that 40 years ago, we did have the best educated workforce. We had the highest percentage of people who graduated college of any country on earth. That is not the case today. Today, hundreds of thousands of bright, qualified young people with a burning desire to get a higher education are unable to do that for one reason, and that is their families lack the money. What Secretary Clinton believes and what I believe is that we have got to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And Secretary Clinton's proposal would make it free right now for every family earning less than $125,000 a year, 83% of our population. How many people here have or will have student debt? Raise your hand, please. Secretary Clinton and I and most of you understand that we want to see our young people leaving school, going out and starting their adult lives, starting businesses, getting the jobs they want without being overwhelmed with tens of thousands of dollars in student debt. And that is why she has a number of proposals. For a start, this is pretty crazy, but right now you have people with student debt who are paying interest rates of 6, 8, 10, 12%. What Secretary Clinton believes and what I believe is that anybody holding student debt should be able to refinance those loans at the lowest interest rates they can find. If you can buy a new car today at 1 or 2% or refinance your house at 3 or 4%, you should not be paying 6, 8, 10% interest rates on your student loans. And here is something else that we believe. We believe that those young people who want to make a life of improving the well-being of their fellow Americans, if they want to be teachers, if they want to be doctors, if they want to be police officers, if they want to be workers in the public sphere and serve their fellow Americans, they deserve to be able to see their debt forgiven. Right now, we have a very good program called the National Health Service Corps. And what that program says is you are graduating medical school, dental school, nursing school, and you are prepared to work in medically underserved areas, the government will forgive your debt. I think we should expand that program for teachers and child care workers. There is another very profound difference between Secretary Clinton and Donald Trump, and that is Secretary Clinton believes in science. I am a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment. And I have talked to scientists all over this country and, in fact, throughout the world. The scientific community is virtually unanimous, and the debate is over. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity. And as you know, it is already causing very serious problems in our country and around the world. And here is what is scary. The scientists tell us that, in fact, they have underestimated the speed at which the planet is warming. And what they are saying is if we do not get our act together and transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy, what we will be seeing are more droughts, more floods, more extreme weather disturbances, more acidification of the ocean, more rising sea levels. And what the CIA and Department of Defense are telling us is that we will see more international conflict because people all over the world will be forced to fight for very limited natural resources like water and land to grow their crops. Secretary Clinton is listening to the scientists. Donald Trump believes that climate change is a hoax. Now, my friends, we cannot develop public policy if we do not listen to science. And what this issue is about, it's not just for you, it is for your kids and your grandchildren. It is whether or not we are going to leave this planet, not just our country, the entire planet, in a way that is healthy and habitable for future generations. Donald Trump has the brilliant idea, and as you know, everything coming from Donald Trump's lips by definition are brilliant, because he's a genius. Everything is brilliant. And he believes that, I suppose, on a given night, and a few years from now, we should sweep up and deport 11 million undocumented people. Well, Hillary Clinton and I have a very different idea. Our view is that we need to move toward comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. Last year I was in Phoenix and I was talking to some young Latino kids, mostly teenagers, a few a little bit older. And with tears running down their cheeks, young people were telling me how frightened they were that one day they would leave school, go home, and find that their dad or their mom has been deported. We have got to take people out of the shadows. We have got to move toward a path towards citizenship. Secretary Clinton understands that, and that is what we're going to do. Now, while we're talking about Donald Trump's brilliant ideas, he has another brilliant idea. And that is, at a time when 28 million Americans have no health insurance and many others are underinsured with high deductibles and co-payments, his solution to the health care crisis is to end the Affordable Care Act and throw 20 million Americans off of health insurance. And when I ask my Republican colleagues in the Senate, if you throw 20 million people off of health insurance, how many of them are going to die? How many of them are going to become much sicker than they should become? How many of them are going to be suffering? And the Republican response is essentially, they don't care. They don't care. Now, Hillary Clinton has a very different idea. She believes, as I do, that the day must come sooner than later where the United States joins the rest of the industrialized world in guaranteeing health care to all of our people as a right. Secretary Clinton believes that we should double funding for community health centers. And that means millions more Americans, low-income working people, people with insurance, people without insurance, will finally get the health care they need. And what that means is not only primary health care, it means dental care, and it means addressing a major crisis in this country, which is mental health treatment. We have too many people in this country who are in desperate need of mental health treatment today, not 6 months from now. And expanding community health centers would provide access for millions more Americans. And the last thing that expanding community health centers does is it provides people who go there the lowest cost prescription drugs in the country. Now, I happen to believe that the pharmaceutical industry is acting disgracefully and ripping off the American people every single day. I happen to believe that it is immoral that people in America are dying from cancer and other diseases because they cannot afford the outrageous prices that the drug companies are charging us. I think it is absolutely insane that 1 out of 5 Americans who go to the doctor and get a prescription cannot afford to fill that prescription. So I say to the pharmaceutical industry, hey guys, your days are numbered. We are going to end your greed. And Secretary Clinton understands something else that is enormously important, that our criminal justice system is broken. Now, I want you to ask yourself how it happens that in this great country, we have more people in jail than any other country on earth. More people, disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native American. And not only do we have more people in jail, 2.2 million, we are spending $80 billion a year at local, state, federal levels locking up fellow Americans. What Secretary Clinton understands, and we all understand, is that it makes a lot more sense for us to invest in our young people, in jobs and education, not in jails or incarceration. We have a situation now in this country where we have got to be honest and intelligent and looking at reality. And what the reality is that we are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. But most Americans don't know that, because almost all of the new wealth being created is going to the people on top. And 58% of all new income is going to the people at the top 1%. So in Arizona and in Vermont and all over this country, you got people working 2 or 3 jobs, trying to cobble together the income and health care they need to sustain their families. But 58% of all new income goes to the top 1%. Our job is to create an economy, create an America, create a government which represents all of us, not just the 1%. Now that is not easy. And let me be very honest with you. This is not easy. Wall Street, whose greed and recklessness and illegal behavior drove this country into the worst economic decline since the Great Depression, those guys have unlimited sums of money. The drug companies have unlimited sums of money because the 5 top drug companies made $50 billion in profit last year. The fossil fuel industry and the Koch brothers have unlimited sums of money. But our job, and we can do this, when we understand that real change in America never comes from the top on down, it always comes from the bottom on up. Think about the workers' movement in this country and the fight for unions. Think about 100 years ago, children of 12 years of age working in factories, losing their fingers because they should have been in schools, not around heavy machinery, not in the fields. And the fights of workers to form unions, to collectively negotiate decent wages and decent working conditions. Think about the struggle of African Americans for the last several hundred years to combat racism, to end slavery, to end Jim Crowism. That was done when millions of people came together and said that in America we will not accept racism and segregation. "100 years ago, children don't know this, but they must learn about it. 100 years ago, not a long time from a historical perspective, women in America did not have the right to vote. Women could not do the jobs they wanted to do or get the education they wanted. But women banded together and with their male allies said loudly and clearly, we will not be second-class citizens in this country. And think about the struggle of our gay brothers and sisters. If we were here 10 years ago, no time at all, and somebody jumped up and said, you know, I think by 2015 we'll have gay marriage made legal in every state in this country, very few people would have believed that that could be possible. But the gay community and their straight allies stood up and fought back and demanded to have a country where people could love whoever they wanted, regardless of their gender. My point is that real change never, ever takes place unless millions of people band together and fight for economic and social and environmental justice. And that is where we are today. That is where we have got to go. In the next 3 weeks, I hope that all of you will not only vote, but get your friends and your uncles and your aunts to vote. It is absolutely imperative that Hillary Clinton be elected president. But the day after the election, I don't want you to go to sleep. I want you to roll up your sleeves and fight to make this country become what we know it can become. I want you to think big, not small. What the media and what the establishment tell you in a million different ways every single day is real change is impossible. You've got to think small, not big. Don't believe them. Don't tell me that the United States cannot do what many other countries are now doing, and that is to make public colleges and universities tuition-free. Of course we can do that. Don't tell me that we cannot have the best child care system in the world with great teachers taking care of the youngest Americans. Don't tell me that we have got to be the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. Don't tell me that we have to pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Don't tell me that we have to have more people in jail than any other country on earth, or an immigration system which is totally broken. Don't tell me what we cannot accomplish, because I believe that if we do not allow Trump and his friends to divide us up, if we stand together as black and white and Latino and Native American and Asian American, if we stand together as gay and straight, male and female, if we have the courage to tell the billionaire class in this country they will not get it all, that we're going to have a government and an economy that works for all of us. If we have the courage to do that, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. So, brothers and sisters, we have got a lot of work in front of us, but I know that we can do it. Let's elect Hillary Clinton. Let's rebuild America. Thank you.